The future of Mitch Marner with the Toronto Maple Leafs has become an increasingly pressing question, with fans and analysts growing more anxious about whether the team can retain him. In a recent episode of Real Kyper and Bourne, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and Sam McKee discussed the impact of Marner's contract situation and the pressure on the Maple Leafs to secure his future. With every game, Marner's value to the team continues to rise, and as his contract nears its end, the question arises, can Toronto afford the demands of one of its most talented players? Marner has undoubtedly been a cornerstone of the Maple Leafs' success. Sam McKee didn't hesitate to emphasize how essential he is to the team, calling him a hometown superstar. What Marner brings to the game goes beyond statistics. His ability to make critical plays and his chemistry with stars like Austin Matthews make him an indispensable asset. Losing a player like him would be a severe blow, and McKee expressed concern over the possibility of his departure. Every day, I get more worried. He could leave at any moment, McKee said, reflecting the uncertainty surrounding the Maple Leafs. Could Toronto lose someone as skilled as Marner? The team has relied heavily on his skill and vision, and finding a replacement of his caliber would be nearly impossible. This raises the question, should the team prioritize Marner's renewal, even if it means sacrificing other parts of the roster? For fans, losing Marner would not only mean losing a local talent, but also one of the franchise's most significant assets in recent years. On the other hand, the Maple Leafs have faced criticism for their handling of Marner's contract. Justin Bourne was clear in pointing out that the team was slow to act. With the NHL salary cap set to rise in the coming seasons, the pressure on the Maple Leafs is even greater. Marner's situation, already strengthened by his performance, only becomes more complicated as time passes. If he doesn't sign a long-term deal, the team will be worse off, Bourne said. With this approach, the Maple Leafs have put themselves in a tough spot, potentially needing to pay more than anticipated to ensure Marner stays. Do you think the Maple Leafs could have avoided this impasse? If so, what could they have done differently? Their lack of timely action now leaves the team in a vulnerable position where negotiating a new contract with Marner could become even more challenging and costly. And what about Marner's salary? Should the Maple Leafs do whatever it takes to keep him, even if it means surpassing Austin Matthews' contract? Some analysts, like Kypreos, see this possibility as hard to swallow, but potentially necessary. Whether he stays or goes, I'll have to hold my nose and accept it, Kypreos said, reflecting the resignation many might feel if the team spends more than planned. Losing Marner could be catastrophic, and the idea of paying more to keep him might be the only viable option. Now, one of the biggest debates arises around Marner's playoff performance. Many question his impact in high-stakes games. But, as Kypreos pointed out, this perspective is limited. Marner's performance during the regular season should not be underestimated, and his ability in critical moments contributes significantly to the Maple Leafs' success. You can't just evaluate a player like Marner in the playoffs, Kypreos stated, emphasizing that contributions throughout the season are equally vital for the team's long-term success. So, what should the Maple Leafs do to ensure Marner stays in Toronto? The team faces a crucial decision. Meeting his demands may require adjusting other parts of the roster's financial structure. But if they let Marner go, the team risks losing one of its greatest talents and weakening its overall lineup. As Kypreos, Bourne, and McKee pointed out, the situation could have been better managed, but now the Maple Leafs are at a critical juncture. Time is ticking, and a decision must be made before it's too late. Sidney Crosby in blue and white? It sounds like an impossible dream, but that's exactly the bold idea co-host Jamie McLennan brought up during a recent TSN discussion on Overdrive. With the Pittsburgh Penguins struggling this season, Crosby's future has become a topic of speculation, and McLennan seized the moment to propose a trade that sparked the imagination of Toronto Maple Leafs fans. But does it make sense? During the debate with Brian Hayes and Jeff O'Neill, McLennan presented his idea. Crosby and Tristan Jarry for Joseph Wall, Easton Cowan, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. He acknowledged it was an unlikely proposal, but one that could hypothetically bring the Penguins' captain to Toronto. The idea was treated lightheartedly by the host, but sparked an interesting discussion. What if Crosby actually played for the Leafs? An impossible trade or a fun idea? First, let's analyze the logic behind this trade. Sidney Crosby is an icon in Pittsburgh, having led the Penguins to 3 Stanley Cups and solidifying himself as one of the greatest players of all time. Even so, he is 37 years old, and his recently renewed contract presents significant financial challenges, including Tristan Jarry, a starting goaltender, in a package with retained salary adds absurd complexity. For the Leafs, even if they wanted to make this trade, structuring a deal that meets the salary cap requirements would be nearly impossible. What about Joseph Woll and Easton Cowan? Woll has shown immense potential as the Leafs' future in goal, while Cowan, though still developing, is considered a valuable piece for the franchise's future. Giving up both, along with draft picks, would be a risky gamble, even for a legendary name like Crosby. Crosby in blue and white. A fan's dream? Imagine Sidney Crosby on the ice at Scotiabank Arena, wearing the iconic Leafs jersey. For many, it would be the pinnacle of a brilliant career, ending his journey with one of the NHL's greatest franchises. Even Brian Hayes and Jeff O'Neill admitted during the show that they'd love to see him finish his career in Toronto, despite knowing it's highly unlikely. The idea of Crosby leading the Leafs in a playoff run is, at the very least, exciting. However, it's important to remember that Crosby has always shown loyalty to the Penguins. He has repeatedly stated his desire to finish his career where it started, and there's no indication he's considering leaving Pittsburgh. Even in a tough season, Crosby remains the heart and soul of the Penguins, and it's hard to imagine the team parting with their biggest star, even for an attractive package. What about the fans? We're curious. What do you think of this idea? Would Sidney Crosby in Toronto be the push the Leafs need to finally achieve glory? Or would it be a trade that sacrifices too much of the team's future? How do you see the impact of a potential arrival of a legendary player like him on the Leafs' current roster? Share your thoughts in the comments. After all, discussions like these are what make hockey so special. Even if Crosby never wears blue and white, we can't deny it's fun to imagine scenarios like this.